Hello and welcome back to the weekly devotional presented by the Gideon's International Canada and Sherwood Global. My name is Chris Long and I'm the National Engagement Manager. It's my honor to introduce to you today Dr. Derrick Mueller. He's our Ministry Training Specialist and he's going to be continuing a series on the names of God. And so this is week 4 in that series. And so we're really excited for him to share with you today. And stay tuned. At the end of his devotion, I'm going to be giving you one simple step that you can take to effectively introduce someone to Jesus. Dr. Derrick, take it away.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Derrick Mueller. We've been on a journey. We've been exploring God through his names, through his characteristics, to get a clearer picture, to bring clarity to who we actually worship. Also to learn what does that mean to us in our daily life, and how can we reflect that quality, reflect that characteristic to those around us through our social media and in what we do. I want to look at the whole concept. Is God really with us? There's times when we feel alone. There's time when we feel empty. What does it mean to do incarnational ministry? So I want to explore a couple thoughts devotionally as we look at this, though I feel like as I've done each one of these devotions, I could probably spend 10 sessions on each one. But what does it mean to have God with us? But we need to recognize that it is him who walked with us. It's him who stood where we stood. He felt what we felt. He understands what we understood. He knows our frailty. He knows our humanity. He was tempted, yet he did not give in to it. He did not sin. He is God with us. Scripture in Matthew records this. We see a picture of God with us in the flesh. God was from the beginning. He always was. We see God in his humility. We see God coming forward out of prophecy. We see this God, this mystery being presented in the form of Christ. And God with us who is necessary for our salvation. And God with us who is necessary for our salvation. That is the God who's with us. As we look at our neighbor across the fence, and we look at our community, and we look at our street, we begin to see people differently. I need to be honest. I discovered that I was living in a condo for a number of years, and when I left, I don't think anybody missed me. You're saying, what? No, I don't think anybody missed me. I had been living by myself. I'd gone through a time of trial, and I didn't even know the names of people. I knew that so-and-so had no hair, and so-and-so had a hot tub next door to me. That was about it. And when I left, I was saddened that I didn't take the time to get to know anybody in my community. And a condo unit, was sort of townhouses, is a good way to get to know people. And I did nothing. Matthew 1:23 reads this verse, but below Matthew 23 reads, "Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call him the Emmanuel," which is interpreted, God is with us. Let's be honest. If God is with us, how does it affect our life? How does it affect what we do and what we see? I've realized more and more that Christianity is inconvenient. See, the incarnational ministry, Jesus becoming man, is central to our Christian doctrine. He became human in human nature, so he understands. So we can talk to our neighbor about a God who understands what it's like to be us. It's not this, the Greek God myth where he's up in the heavens looking down upon us. No. Or Thor was this big hammer. No. He is God with us. So what does that translate into? How does that translate into what I call incarnational ministry? I want to reflect. There are several different ways we can reflect on incarnational ministry. One, we realize that Jesus identified with us by coming to earth. We can identify with people. Jesus personalized it, where he sat down. The children were on the streets. He met with a small group. He talked with them. He met one-on-one with individuals. He asked her questions. He participated in community life. So we see the concepts of incarnational ministry being in the presence, sort of delving into the culture, involves identification, personalization, participation, as well as communicating. He took time to talk, to communicate. as well as present himself. So with these five aspects of incarnational ministry, we see it portrayed in Christ himself. He identified with us. He personalized his ministry with us. He participated in the community life. He communicated the good news. He communicated who he was and what he was trying to accomplish. And he presented a new way of living. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I want to share a story and I want to make this more practical. As we look at the God with us, how do we become alive? How do we let people know that God is with us and is with them? Through this whole pandemic, I've realized, and in teaching a series on digital ministry and what that looks like, I began to take, in some ways, my own teaching seriously and have become more aware of the people I interact with on social platforms. I've also watched my wife, and if you've met my wife, she has this big smile and she radiates the principle of connecting, and she needs to connect with people. And I've watched her connect with text, and one day I think she spent all day just responding to people's pain that she connected by posting several posts that became encouragement, and people and women revealed more, and she went deeper with them. So she took a very surface relationship and went deeper in a matter of days. I watched her try to figure out, she had this need for social connection, so she began using the new kitchen that we just renovated. Has a double stove, and she began baking the old grandmother's banana bread recipe. And we noticed that we had this ministry right in front of us. There was all these workers digging up the street, about 20 different people. And she had this idea. So she had this idea, she went out, and she said, you know what, I want to keep to the law, I want to keep to the distancing, but I also want to minister. So she made all these banana breads, she wrapped them up all individually, she had some cookies, she got drinks and beverages, and she went out to the supervisor and said, this is for your guys. Well, often these guys experience a lot of conflict. Because people don't like being their roads being dug up, their foundations are shaken, and so there's a lot of strife that happens. So my wife decided to actually be a light in darkness. She decided to incarnate Christ, to reveal how God is with us, at least at a surface level at this moment. And so she handed it all out. And then I noticed that all of a sudden relationships start developing. Well, all of a sudden they're building right outside, and the woman's there, and she's talking. She says, that's a cute granddaughter. We get a little more personal, so surface talk becomes more personal. And then we're engaging, and she's revealing some of her beliefs. And then the supervisor's coming by, and all those men wrote a letter to my wife, just thanking her. The neighbors got on, because why? My wife started posting pictures of how we can actually be affirmative. We can actually seize the moment. And they began cooking cookies. And so all of a sudden we found 3 or 4 people now in our neighborhood ministering to this group of individuals. And then all of a sudden our eyes as a community started opening up because of one spark. By the way, we have a Spark magazine, remember? Because of this one spark. To the point where my wife and I yesterday, this is really fresh, are sitting around, and I had just cooked hamburgers for my son, who just had a baby and just needed some ministering. And he said, Dad, thank you so much. And I thought, what happens if I minister through food in a context where I can? I said, and my wife said, I was thinking maybe we could do a picnic or a lunch. And I said, I was thinking we could do a barbecue. Within moments of that, we ended up seeing one of the people on the thing, on the workforce there. And the supervisor comes over, and he's saying, I heard that you guys want to do, and we said, a barbecue. And he said, I love the idea. He said, I'm going to talk to HR. And he comes back yesterday and says, HR says they'll pay for the whole barbecue for us and those who want to come. I'm going, wow. It only takes a spark. When we live as if God is with us, we act as his representatives, as his ambassadors on his behalf. There's the challenge for us this week. May we be ambassadors for Christ, revealing that God is with us. Incarnational in our approach to ministry, because we know that God revealed himself, that he identified, he personalized his ministry, he participated, and he communicated hope, and he presented a new way. We can do the same. I'm Dr. Derrick Mueller. Remember, you can be a beacon of hope in whatever you do today. Stay tuned as I let you know what happened at our barbecue. God bless.
Dr. Derrick, thank you so much for that devotion. And this week, as we close out this devotional series, what I wanted to do is give you one simple step that you could take to effectively introduce someone to Jesus. And so this week, your challenge is to use technology for connection and not disconnection. And so what I mean by that is this, is we can't go out to coffee shops, we can't go out to restaurants, we can't necessarily go to homes and just sit down with people and talk to people like we used to be able to during pre-COVID, but we can use technology to enable connection and conversation. And so this week, what I want you to do is think of one of your friends who doesn't follow Jesus, send them a message and say, hey, I'd love to have a coffee with you this week. Can we do it over FaceTime? Can we do it over a video chat? Can we do it over Zoom? Can we do it over a phone call? And try to use this opportunity to say, hey, this is just normal life. I want to have a coffee with you. I'm going to sit down, and use that opportunity to begin to see how they're doing and to see what's going on in their life. You can share what's going on in your life as well. And in this opportunity, what you're doing is you're taking advantage of you staying present and connected with this person. So whoever that is this week, one person, have a coffee with them online. You can have a meal with them. You can play a game with them. You can include them in your life. And so by doing that, you are taking a step of connection and relationship towards them, which is going to help you in the future when you want to have a spiritual conversation and a faith conversation. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for next week. Bye.